Hello, and thanks for coming along to And We Have an Office Dog, the digital agency podcast where we talk to agency owner-directors and learn more about what makes them tick. From the things that make them similar to the things they'd rather have known sooner, where they've had success and where they've learned some hard lessons. All will be revealed with your host, Chris Simmons, the agency coach, and he'll be talking to a different awesome agency person in each episode, asking them 4 questions and seeing where the conversation takes us over the next 25 minutes. Okay, so let us begin. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, voiceover guy. And on the podcast today, we've got Claire from Serotonin. Hey, Claire.
Hello, I'm so happy to be back.
Well, we were literally just saying that it doesn't feel like a year. It feels like a long time ago that we last recorded.
It really does. I think from a mindset situation, when I think back to the Claire that spoke to you 12 months ago, so much has happened for me and for the agency that, I know we'll get into, but it really is quite phenomenal how much can happen in just a short year.
Yes, it really is. I've been seeing what you guys have been up to in the last year, and it is lovely to see, but it is a lot. Now, for anyone who's listening who's been really naughty and skipped season 1, can you give everyone a little rundown of who and what Serotonin are and what you do best?
So Serotonin is a creative digital agency. We're based in Manchester's Northern Quarter in Stevenson Square. We've been going for about 3.5 years. Which means that we've got past the baby stage and we've become a little bit more established. We've matured in the type of clients that we work with. So we've really got a strong proposition with e-commerce and property and hospitality. And we work with clients across those sectors and more on brand, creative, web and multi-channel digital strategies. And we've got a team of 20 now.
Hang on a minute.
I know. I said a lot had happened.
Crikey.
So yeah, we really have grown pretty rapidly, but that's not to say that has always been on a constant trajectory. There's been various ups and downs along the way and challenges along the way. Last time I spoke to you, we were just coming out of the kind of COVID pandemic era, which in many ways served us as an agency in terms of growth, and we were readjusting to life beyond that, as were our clients and other clients as well. So last year ended up being a year of kind of rediscovering our positioning, attracting great talent, retaining really good clients and strengthening those relationships and seeing those those successes too, and really kind of drilling down into what it is that makes us a great agency to work for and work with.
So quick fire question. What's the best and worst thing in the last 12 months?
Best thing in the last 12 months. Well, it's funny because on the day I last spoke to you, we were about to go to an awards do.
You were.
We were. And spoiler alert, we won. So we were.
I don't think spoilers work in this when you tweet about it for about a month.
Northern Digital Agency of the Year. So that was a highlight to kind of start things off. And we did end up having a year of really solid recognition through awards and, people in the team being recognised for their work. So those were lots and lots of highs. Challenges, many. Hiring challenges, internal process challenges, commercial challenges. All the nuts and bolts of the agency have thrown up challenges to me in the past 12 months.
So what have been then some of the major developments in the agency in the last year? How have you adapted to the speed of hiring that you've had to do and things like that?
So hiring is a key part of that growth, of course. One of the things that we've done over the past couple of months is bringing some senior hires. So we brought in 3 heads of department who are in creative, search and email. And they are really helping us to build out that SLT. and also helping us to kind of create that positioning for other people within the business who have aspirations to head of department, to kind of create a structure and journey of growth for them as well. So that's been a really big focus for us, to bring those people on board them, get them working optimally, and like get them really ingrained within the culture. And it's been brilliant. The outcome of that now is brilliant, and it's been a lot of hard work, because hiring is hard work. Finding the right people is time consuming, draining, scary, big risk. Fortunately, right now that's really paying off for us. So that's been a really, really big change. Obviously then, growing across the whole teams has been a change. And because of those people that we've been bringing in, we've been able to offer a real kind of diversity of service to our clients. So particularly our retained clients, we've been able to expand the service that we've offered to them, which has been fantastic, because then we're able to add additional value. And then we have our new clients that we're bringing on board, and likewise we've got this really strong senior team that can pitch in with Dom and I in terms of putting strategy together and making sure that things are working effectively. So that's been really, really brilliant. And I've tasked them at the moment to work with me on what is it about that's so unique about our positioning. So that's kind of coming soon. And I really want that to come from the team. And it's a big part of what we're working on at the moment.
So when hiring, for SLT, the underlying purpose of that is that essentially you become less hands-on, right? For them to be able to be excellent, you've got to take just the leadership point, and kind of let that leadership let the team do the job. I remember how hard that felt. How did it feel for you and Dom? Was it a natural, relatively easy thing to sort of let those guys get on with it, or was it, because I found it very hard to let go, and it might just be my personality.
Oh, it's brilliant, Chris. It's a massive relief. I love it.
So you're saying I'm a control freak? Cool.
Yeah, just let them do it. They're so much better. No, I mean so that there's some areas of the business that will always be very much retained and delivered by Dom and I, and fortunately for me, that's the part of the business which I love, which is brand strategy. And I think it's really, really important that when we onboard clients, they know that they're working with me on that, because that's the promise that we make. And I work with them from the very beginning of that first conversation all the way through to workshop, to the strategic side of the brand creation, and then making sure that I've got that ownership of it throughout any kind of marketing that we do for them. So I'll always be hands-on, and I'll always do that. And likewise with Dom and kind of digital and media strategy, we're the best placed to kind of lead on that. But having people that I really, really trust, who I know are really good at what they do, I am more than happy to step away and let them take over and do what they do best, and give them that space. It's
like a true leader.
Oh, I love it. It's brilliant, because it's taken time to get people onboarded and confident and ingrained within the team, and understanding the processes and being able to make those decisions. And all I ever want to do, genuinely all I ever want to do, is just empower people around me to do good work, because I sincerely think that is the crux of my job as an agency owner, whether I'm doing it through creating a good culture, or it's in mentoring individuals, or bringing on clients that they're going to enjoy working with. Like my job is to make sure they can do good work. So it's definitely not about me and Dom. It's all about them, and I love it.
Lovely. And so we just sort of touched on like all of the developments in the business for the last year. The industry itself has upside down, inside out several times over every single week, it feels. What do you think's been kind of one of the biggest evolutions you've noticed in the industry, and how has it affected the agency?
I think there's been some small shifts and some big shifts, and we should just not all get crazy and distracted by either. And it's very easy to get over
shiny things.
Suddenly the robots are coming, and that's the end of copywriters, for example. And you know what I'm talking about. And it's really easy to get carried away by the fun stuff, because it is fun.
I want to sound flippant and laugh, but also at the same time, there were people who laughed at in the pin factories when the robots came and made pins for so let's have a slight dose of carefulness here, because a robot will listen to this podcast at some point and will judge us.
I think that these are tools that are interesting and exciting, and we should look for productive ways to adopt them into the work that we're doing already. Because if we don't see it in that way, then we are just going to become distracted by trying to reinvent things that, that we don't need right now. And I think that there are really interesting things happening within AI, and I think that we should be looking to embrace them, make best use of them, be careful about the fact that we're using them for a purpose and that they're aligned to our overall strategy, and we're not just getting overexcited and running off in a completely different direction, because that's when, the solid ground of what we're trying to achieve through a strategy or with a client or with a brand is going to fall apart. So those are the big things. And then I think there's lots of little things which are probably more exciting, really. You could say that a social platform like TikTok, which is, even up until the last couple of years, was still being regarded as, it's the, I'm still having conversations with brands who think that, or thought that it was something that was for kids. And we are now really getting into the kind of mass adoption and mass understanding of how not just the platform, but the way that the content is created and the way that people engage with the content impacts human behavior and what that means for brands. And those are the conversations that I'm really interested in, because those are not necessarily about a shiny thing, but how we use the shiny thing as a tool within our existing strategy to influence human behavior and to understand the way that society and culture is changing. And that's interesting to me, and it's interesting to the team as well. So rather than run away and bring in someone that knows how to manipulate AI as someone that would be my next hire, I want to bring in people that are inspired by branding, that have a real deep interest in consumer behavior, that are really in tune with the platforms that people are engaging with right now. And that's where the really interesting conversations happen across the table with the brands that I'm working with, rather than me trying to go, hey, let's do this big thing over here, which doesn't fit.
I think in some agencies there's a head in the sand approach. It's not anything and don't worry about it, which is obviously wrong, because things develop and you need to at the very least be aware of them and try and work out how to adapt or use them. It's certainly not coming for the end of all things, but at the same time, if you've got a very bottom heavy agency with a lot of juniors who typically do, and I sound like an arsehole when I say this, I'm sorry if you are listening and you're one of these people, if you do a lot of repetitive high volume, low value tasks, that job is going. AI will take those jobs. If you do thinking jobs and you do strategic jobs and you do jobs where you require empathy and you require an awareness that other people think differently and buy differently, you're fine. But agencies are definitely going to have to account for those kinds of things in the future, because once the cost of these tools comes down to such a degree, much as when it comes to sort of resourcing overseas used to be looked at, it won't be long before 1 million page titles can be written in 10 minutes, and you don't need 4 people to do that for 6 weeks, for example.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm just looking out now at the team that I've got sat there, and it was when you were talking about, empathy and caring about, behaviors and consumers. And I genuinely believe that, yes, manual / repetitive tasks can exist, can be done more efficiently and probably should be done more efficiently. But the team that I've got sat out there right now, I know that I hired them because of their ability to be empathetic.
Yeah.
And every single person carries that value. And I believe, it's the way that I've always thought about marketing. It's always just about people.
Yeah.
And so the heart of the creative side of marketing and the strategic side of putting a plan together to understand which touch points are going to influence which decisions. That there has to be people at the heart of that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why I do love agency life, because I'm surrounded by people like that all the time.
Yeah, they're people businesses at their heart. It's just there will be a operational or skill-based shift in how it's delivered. There'll still be people. There has to be. Say there has to be. I can't see into the future. I'd love to be able to see in the future. I'd be buying a lottery ticket right now. Yeah. So over the last year, like an incredible pace, things have changed for the business. And I know as an agency leader, the personal and the professional are often quite highly intertwined. How has your sort of personal, professional growth evolved in the last year?
So I think for me, that's one of the high points of the past 12 months, that how I feel about myself as a leader. And when I look back at my personal / professional accomplishments over the past 12 months, I've invested a lot of time and energy in my own self-awareness, knowing what inspires me, my own physical fitness, my own, achieving certain challenges, which I've kind of set myself and have more coming up this year that I really thrive off, and understanding that I thrive off those things outside of work, so that the dopamine or serotonin hit that I get from achieving something isn't totally reliant upon what happens within the four walls of my office. It also cascades out into my personal life, and that makes me much more of a four-dimensional character rather than Claire from Serotonin. And my clients get sick of me talking about my running and those challenges, but they also love it because they know that tells them the kind of person that I am. And it's been really brilliant to be able to have those things going alongside my side, so that even when times were tough with Serotonin, I still had this real strong sense of self-worth and energy and reason to get out of bed, because there was a challenge that I had to achieve that was more than the agency. I think that's really important for people.
It's almost the definition of purpose, right?
Yeah.
And everyone finds their own individual one. Some people it is simply very simple, like the pursuit of one thing. Other people, there's a lot of depth and layers to it, and you've got to have quite a deep character and a deep appreciation of other people in order to be able to be resilient to the times that aren't that good.
Yeah, resilient is like one of the words I carry in my heart. But it was a really interesting conversation that I had with a business coach that I'm working with at the moment. And it was a very emotional conversation, actually. And it was at the start of this year, and she was talking to me about my goals, and I really went in big. I started this year, I was sprinting out the starting blocks in every respect. I knew what I wanted to achieve personally. I'd set my physical goals. I knew what I wanted for the agency, across culture, across commercial, across for my clients. I really had thought about it, and I thought, I'm going to go into this conversation with this business coach and I'm going to blow her socks off. She's never going to spoke to anyone like me before. She's going to think I'm so ready for this. She's not going to know what to do with me. And I really felt that way because I was so hyped up for the year. And I came on this call with her, and she let me talk about it. She just let me release everything, and I just talked and talked. Pow, pow, pow. This is Claire in 2023. And she went really quiet, and she was like, why? And I just started stuttering, and I was like, oh, because, and she was like, so what did you do last year? And I told her, and she was like, why? And I was like, because I just, I couldn't give her a good enough reason as to why there was this constant need to keep pushing forward for more, for stronger, for bigger, better, greater. And she did this exercise with me. If you don't mind me very quickly explaining it, I think it would be a really, really useful exercise for people to do. She made me close my eyes, which was very awkward because I was on a Zoom call in the middle of the meeting room, which is a glass meeting room, so everyone could see me. But I closed my eyes and she said to me, imagine you're at a party. And so imagine I was at a party. Then she told me that the party was my 80th birthday party. And she asked me to imagine all the people that were there. They could be people that had died and they would come back. It was magic birthday party. Everybody was there I'd ever loved or known or wanted to be there. They were in that room. And she gave me some time to experience that room and to look around and to see the way that people were talking and interacting. Then she asked me to choose 3 people, any people, to get up and go and give a speech about me on my 80th birthday. And she made me sit there and think through each of those speeches. And as soon as she asked me to do that, I had my eyes closed in this glass meeting room in the middle of the office. I started crying. I was in absolute floods of tears. I sat there with it and I felt the words that people were saying. And when I came and opened my eyes, I had to sit quietly and write down so many different things that come into my head. And it was such a powerful exercise because what it did was strip away the goal setting and the challenge setting. And it made me dig into what is actually really important to me in 40 years' time. What do I hope or think or want people to say about me, the people that I love and care about most? What impact do I want to have? And
they're not going to say you had a 200-person agency and 10 million quid. They're not going to be worried about that.
No, they won't. What they might say is that in doing those things, she inspired me to start my own business, or she gave me a job that meant that I could achieve something with my life that I never expected. And suddenly the things that I was doing with my agency, the things that I was doing with my physical challenges suddenly started to mean so much more. And that was just in January. And now we're here, in the middle of February. And already this mindset shift, it's not taken anything away from the goals and challenges that I've set myself, but it's given me this underlying feeling of everything just meaning a little bit more. And it is so powerful to really, truly understand your why beyond what am I going to do this month or next month that's going to be better than what I did the month before, because it gives you that permission to look around and go, what's actually meaningful? Is it meaningful that we hit target in Q2? Or is it meaningful that the people who I'm looking at now, who are sat within my agency, come into work, feel happy and fulfilled, comfortable, safe, progress, and they feel inspired, and I did that? Well, I'll tell you honestly, both those things matter to me. But for me, having one without the other makes your life less meaningful. And I'm so glad I had that conversation, because now I feel that I can align my goals to something that is more powerful and more important to me than anything else.
That's what I was in my head. I was thinking vulnerability, power, importance, etc. I'm going to have a little close of my eyes. I don't know if I'll cry though. We'll see.
Do it.
We'll see. I'll
do.
probably cry.
I bet you do. You're going to cry.
I won't do it on the podcast, guys. Don't worry.
Live. We want to see it live.
No. I'll do a live stream. So next 12 years, we're recording the next season of this. You've come back for a third time. What are we talking about?
So we've got a growth plan in terms of the growth of the agency. We know where we want to get to, Dom and I, and there's loads of things that you could checklist that against: size, scale, type of clients, reach of the projects that we're doing, number of awards we've won, recognition that we've got. All these things are important to us, but also important to the team as well. We've had all those conversations this year. So yes, we are on a path that we've kind of recognized, but there's other things going on as well. So we're launching soon some software that we've been developing in the background, which is very exciting and adds a whole new dimension to the agency, but also helps us stay really, really true to the proposition we've got, which is about the effectiveness of digital media and the power of creative coming together to deliver great impact. So that's something that's quite exciting. So in terms of agency growth, we kind of have that plan set, which I'm not going to go into now, just in case things don't work out, and then I can come back next year and go, yeah, everything went totally to plan. But we know we're not going to be MediaCom. We know what size we want to get to, that we're comfortable with, and we have a roadmap for getting there. In terms of kind of like my own journey, one thing I kind of wanted to talk about, but didn't just talk about them, was leadership. And I've really feel that the challenges of the past 12 months have just helped me see myself differently, in terms of what a leadership role needs to be and should be. And I think when I said at the very beginning of this podcast, I look back at the Clair from 12 months ago and how different she was. I think back then there was still a sense of unsureness around, who I was and how I could be expected to respond to some of the challenges of running the agency. Now I've been through some real difficult times in terms of growing this agency, and I've come out the other side, and I know that they've made me really stronger. They've helped me make difficult decisions, trust my gut. That's a really big one. So I just want to keep going with that. I love the self-development that I'm getting from running this agency.
Yeah.
If nothing else. If nothing else, this is a
every day is a personal lesson, isn't it? You learn something new about yourself and other people, and it's quite wonderful.
It's a big experiment in how far can you go?
Well, you might just transcend one day at this rate, by the sounds of it. You just disappear off into the fourth dimension.
Yeah, it's I'm loving that, and rather than being fearful of that, which I possibly was this time last year, if I'm being really, really honest with myself, the conversation that we had a year ago, now I feel far more comfortable with that. And I think that comes with age as well. I think that comes with the fact that, I turned 40 last year. That was a big milestone birthday for me. And that really helped me see things differently, have more faith in myself, and also give less of a shit about other people.
I mean, we talk about resilience, and that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So
great when you stop giving a shit.
I look forward to having a catch up with you on the next recording.
Yes, I can't wait.
Thank you so much for coming, and congratulations on such a good year and future year as well.
Thanks so much, Chris. Can't wait for our next catch up.
Thank you. And in the next episode, we'll revisit another agency leader and see how their last year has been. Thanks very much for listening.